Doing this one thing is the sole difference between where you are now and where you want to be. And it's the thing that differentiates 90% of millionaires from everybody else. And it should have been the biggest lesson learned from 2020, but most people completely missed it. Welcome back to Confident Real Estate. I'm your host, JC. So, what's that one thing that you need to do or learn how to do to really make sure you have the ability to achieve financial success? Let me ask you this. How many of you spent 2020 wishing you had more cash reserves or savings to fall back on? Or did you know someone who found themselves in a really bad situation because they didn't have that safety savings net and weren't making nearly the income they expected to at the beginning of 2020? I know we occasionally talk about how to start getting invested in real estate with no money or with very little money down, but it shouldn't really come as a surprise that investing in anything with cash and money that you've put aside in savings for the purpose of investments is a much more direct path to investing success and much bigger returns, because the bottom line is cash is king. So for all of you who are shaking your head saying, no kidding, the question we're going to answer here today is, how do you build up your cash reserves? And it's very simple. It's a two-step process. The first step is self-auditing. And the second step is you pay yourself first. Now, I know a lot of you have probably heard other people on YouTube and elsewhere say, pay yourself first. But how many of you are actually doing it? There's a reason so many people tell you to pay yourself first. All the people who are telling you to do that have one thing in common. They're successful, and there's a reason they pay themselves first. So we're going to make it even easier for you because we're adding that first step, the self-audit. So you really need to pay attention to this video and what we're about to review, because it is supremely beneficial to anybody who is serious about achieving success. The first thing you're going to do before we even get into the self-audit is you're going to hit the like button on this video to feed that YouTube algorithm. And then you're going to hit the subscribe button if for some reason you haven't already, because we want you to be a part of our growing Confident Real Estate family full of people who are headed in the direction of real success and serious discipline to achieving success. We want you to join us. So hit like, hit subscribe, and let's get into it. What is a self-audit? It's quite simple. There are two ways that you can increase the amount of money you have left over at the end of each month for the purposes of investing. And those are, one, increasing your income, and two, decreasing your debts and expenses. And it's the latter of these that forms the basis of a self-audit. It's going to require discipline, and I mean military-style committed discipline on your part. Because if you've watched this channel for a while, you've probably heard me say along the way that discipline will never lead you to failure, the same way excuses will never lead you to success. Those are the two mottos that I pretty much live my life by. If you begin to strip your expenses now down to your needs rather than your needs and your wants, that will be a huge step forward towards you actually achieving financial independence and success. Think of it this way. Would you rather come home from a miserable day at work where you busted your rear end and made the same amount as if you coasted through the day, and then you sit on the couch exhausted watching sitcoms or some sports? Or would you rather come home from a hard, satisfying day of work where the amount of effort you put in correlated to the amount of money you made that day, and you can go and sit in your home theater and enjoy a movie with your family while you check where your positions are and how much you're up in the stock market on the mobile app on your phone? You're never going to achieve that latter dream if you don't put in the discipline and work now to reduce the expenses that you waste money on. True story, and I think a lot of you are going to be able to relate to it. I used to come home every day from work and I would be exhausted, and I'd say, I'm just going to sit on the couch and watch a little bit of TV while I eat my dinner, and then I'll do something else. But soon it was too late to really start doing anything at all, so I just continued to sit on the couch and watch TV until it was time to go to bed. And guess what? Every morning I'd wake up miserable that I had to go back to a job that I really didn't like in the first place. And then suddenly it occurred to me the obvious. It's never going to change if I don't change. I'm never going to be able to come home and take a look at where my positions are in the stock market and how much money I've made passively if I never save up the money to invest or actually learn how to invest. I had to change before anything in my life could change for the better. Now I live in a massive house with living rooms on the first floor and the third floor, and big large screen TVs, flat screens in rooms on every floor of the house. But I still don't watch TV because I've realized that my time is more valuable and is better spent advancing my agendas and my goals and my investments. And last I checked, ESPN isn't sending me a check for watching a game every night of the week. I might have a game on in the background while I'm sitting in my home office doing some work at night, but I only dedicate real time to watching movies and TV with my family on the weekends when I feel I have earned the right to do so. And I can sit there and enjoy that time without feeling like there's a big dark cloud over my head telling me, hey, you didn't really earn this because you didn't do anything all week to get your family's future advanced and to advance your investments. I spend my nights advancing my knowledge and my investments and building and growing my portfolio. And what do I do during the week to relax? I stare at the growing contemporary art collection that my wife and I are slowly collecting. I've got a piece on the wall just over there that I spent $5,000 on, and a year later, it's worth almost $9,000. It's literally like watching my money grow on the walls. And not to brag, but I have a major contemporary artist sculpture sitting on the dresser in my bedroom, and I'm not going to name the name because I don't want people casing my house. But let me say this, it's a limited edition sculpture, and one of the other sculptures in that edition is currently sitting in the Museum of Modern Art in Midtown Manhattan. And one of the other ones can be found on my dresser in my bedroom. Do you know how crazy that is to say out loud? It was only, 12 years ago that I was sitting in a cramped little tiny apartment just out of college, staring at the wall, wondering when my life was going to change. It changed because I changed. You have to really want success. And I mean eat, sleep, breathe, and just desire success in every aspect of your life if you actually want to see results. I want you to take yourself seriously because that's when the rest of the world will take you seriously too. Now go get your bills and look at your monthly recurring expenses. Seriously, take a look at what you spend your money on every month and cut those bills down to things you absolutely need in order to survive. For instance, you don't need cable, ESPN Plus, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, etc. Pick one, cut the rest. And it doesn't have to be recurring deducted monthly expenses that you eliminate. How many times a week do you go to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts? Get a travel mug and make your coffee at home. Bring your lunch to work when the world returns to a place where we're all going to a physical location for work. You don't need to go and buy a crappy sandwich for $9 with drink every single day. That adds up. That is money that you could be investing. Bring the lunch to work. Eliminate all kinds of recurring expenses. Really go through what you spend money on. Every time you walk to the counter to pay, say, is this a need or is this a want? Do I need this purchase to survive, or do I want this because it's an extra luxury that I've become accustomed to? It's time to cut the umbilical cord and stand on your own 2 feet. Now that you've cut your entertainment options every night down by a considerable amount, you'll have more time to actually focus on yourself and your future and learning about investing opportunities and options and advancing your knowledge base about investing and doing your due diligence in different types of investments. Again, you want to cut your monthly expenses to your necessities only and not those luxuries, because when you spend the time to learn about how to invest and where to invest, you're also going to need the actual money to invest. And when I'm gearing up to make some large investments, as I build up my cash reserves, I place that money into a index fund that I already have money in. And honestly, over the years, by placing large stockpiles of cash into somewhat conservative index funds, I've probably made tens of thousands of dollars more in returns than I would if I just parked that money in a savings account. But again, this is also the time and part of the video where I have to make the disclaimer that I am not a financial advisor and I am not advising you where to put your money. So speak to your accountant or a financial advisor if you have one and talk to them about where you should put your money. But you definitely shouldn't be putting it into subscriptions to 5 different streaming services and a gym membership that you don't use. There are better ways to spend your time and your money, and your future self is going to love you for doing so. Now we're going to talk about step 2, which is paying yourself before you pay anybody else. You are going to make sure that you pay you before you pay your rent, your monthly expenses, your taxes, and whatever else. I'm not saying you're not going to pay those things, but you're going to pay you first. Why? Because we are creatures of habit and we have been conditioned to believe that we need to pay all our debts and that's all that matters. But there's a problem there. It leaves nothing left over for you. If you pay you first, because we are conditioned creatures of habit, we will find a way to pay our rent, to pay our monthly necessity expenses, and to pay our taxes, because we know there are repercussions and damages to our credit and an assortment of other issues that will prevent us from moving forward in the future if we don't pay what we owe and are obligated to pay to others that we have incurred debts with, right? You don't pay your landlord, you get evicted. You don't pay your taxes, you get a tax lien. If you don't pay yourself, there's no repercussion. So you pay yourself first and then you find a way to pay everyone else. So you're going to go and start doing this today. It is so simple, it doesn't take any preparation. You can do it now. But because it's so simple, that's why nobody does it. Successful people do this. We pay ourselves first. So you're going to go take a look at what your income is every month, and you're going to set aside a reasonable percentage. And every month, you're going to slowly increase that percentage until you get to the point that you have reached the maximum amount you can set aside every month to pay yourself first. And you're going to be real disciplined with yourself and honest with yourself about it. And it is going to help you that you are reducing your expenses and self-auditing, and that is going to help you to get to that increased percentage month after month. You're going to end up working harder to increase your income and reduce your expenses so that you can save more. And the beauty of this is it is an action that builds momentum. It becomes a domino effect. You start to feel the sense of accomplishment every month when you're putting more aside for you before everybody else. And I'm telling you, it is going to give you an adrenaline boost, and you are going to see a lot of short-term goals get accomplished in your investment objectives and every other aspect of your life, because you will feel the sense of empowerment that comes from paying you before everyone else. Believe me. Now, what I don't want you to do is to say, hey, I've significantly reduced my expenses every month, and that's what I'll use to pay myself first. I want you to set aside a percentage of your monthly income and pay yourself that first. And also take the money you've saved on your recurring monthly expenses that you've reduced and cut down and add that to your savings for investments as well. It's the combination of step 1, taking that money that you set aside every month from your income and increasing it every month, and step 2, reducing your monthly expenses as much as you can down to necessities that will significantly increase the speed with which you can put money aside to actually start investing. Compounding interest and capital appreciation are the cornerstones of investing. And the sooner you get money out into investments, the more you will gain from both of those things. So I want you to make sure you are doing both step 1, paying yourself first, and step 2, taking the money that you've saved from reducing your monthly expenses and putting both of those aside into your investment portfolio. This is all about changing the way you think about finances and the way you think about how you spend your time, because these 2 simple steps, honestly, will have immeasurably changed your life for the better. You will have more money saved than you currently do. That is an indisputable fact. The truth is, you're no different than anybody else watching financial investing videos on YouTube. We all have jobs and make an income, but find ourselves a bit unsatisfied with where we are financially. We also all get 24 hours in a day to make the moves necessary to advance ourselves a little further than we were just yesterday. You can pay yourself first. You can reduce your monthly expenses, and you absolutely can achieve financial success. There is no great secret magic formula to managing your finances. It just takes a minimal amount of effort, discipline, and a desire to actually live and achieve your dreams. When it comes to paying yourself first, it's really a basic principle that most of us already know. We just struggle to implement it because, like I said before, we're creatures of habit and conditioning. And that's why most of us dream about the lives we want to live rather than going out and living them. There's a quote that I often think about, and that is, dreams without action remain wishes. And I'll say it again. Think about that. Dreams without actions remain wishes. Think about that and then implement the 2 steps that we covered here in this video, the self-audit and paying yourself first. I appreciate you watching this video all the way to the end. If you didn't hit the like button yet, please do so now to help us feed that YouTube algorithm, and hit subscribe if you're not already a member of our growing Confident Real Estate family, because honestly, I challenge you to think of a reason why you shouldn't hit subscribe and join the rest of us who are on the way to success already. We want you to be a part of our family. If you have Instagram, I'll leave the link down below. Follow us on Instagram so you don't miss any of our updates. And if you have any thoughts, comments, or questions about this episode and this video and what we covered here today, leave them down below in the comments section. That's what it's there for. And we want to hear from you and be able to help you grow on your journey as well. As always, I appreciate you watching. Until next time.